So a lot of you guys have been asking me how I adjusted the chair for Dottie and how it works best for her. Now, mind you, this is not a recommendation for everybody, but this is how I do it, and I wanted to explain. First off, as Dottie has gotten older, you'll notice that she's gotten and developed a little bit of a hunch in her back here. What happens is, because of some of the muscle atrophy from not using the back legs, there's a little bit of loss of that fat and muscle that's back there. So I had to take that into consideration when I was measuring out the length and the distance from front to back here on the wheels. So what I did is I wanted to elongate the body so that there's not this scrunching effect here. And I also used these little stirrups here in the back to make sure that the legs go back and away. Sometimes they'll kind of contract up and her feet will get stuck in the wheels itself. And so I have to take that into consideration as well so that she doesn't injure herself. And sometimes I have to crisscross these so that the feet don't come up this way into the actual gears itself. So bear that in mind when you're adjusting. The next thing I wanted to discuss is the actual harness itself, which the harness you see goes across the chest, along the sides, underneath, and over the top here. So what I did is I adjusted it so that this part here is actually a little bit higher up and it's not too far down on her. And then I make sure that this is right here at the axes, if you will, right behind the leg and meeting the chest, and not too tight here. It's actually fairly loose. I can stick a couple of fingers in there and it's completely comfortable. And this material is top notch. The Walkin Wheels, the people at the Handicap Pets, they've done an amazing job at creating a fantastic product, and I can't say enough about it. Looking at the back end here, you'll notice that there's this extension here in the middle, and you can widen that up if you need to, if you have a wide dog, or if your dog is girthy. Mine is not terribly girthy, and it doesn't really bother her on either side, but if you have a dog that's a little bit wider, you can do that. And these leg attachments here, they go up and down, and so you have these little knobs where you can kind of adjust and create the height if you need to. I prefer these larger wheels. They have a better lower center of gravity, and the other wheels I found to tip easier, but the dog is kind of tall-ish, and so if your dog is rather low, then that's not going to be a problem, but for you, she likes to go off-roading, and these wheels just work a little bit better for her. So now it's the uncomfortable part. We talk about the undercarriage. We talk about all the back end stuff, the exhaust, if you will. What I do is when I put Dottie in the stirrups, where the legs go, which are right here, and that's a semicircular loop here, and on this side, you'll see that the legs go right back in there, is I like to make sure that her business is not right on this little part here. It actually kind of comes up this way and it's off to the back. So if I do have to express her bladder, it doesn't get on any of the parts, and it doesn't get filthy or nasty, and she has a free stream. I also loosen the stirrups so her legs are out of the way. If we were on the ground, I would kind of put her feet on the ground. Now, mind you, she's not completely paralyzed. Dottie actually can move, although it's reflexively, and I'll talk about that in a moment. So even though Dottie cannot walk with her back legs, and the doctors gave her an initial diagnosis of degenerative myelopathy, I don't believe that's the case, because degenerative myelopathy tends to be very progressive, and that hasn't happened with Dottie in the almost 3 years that this has happened to her. I believe it happened from an accident that she had, and it's gotten worse, but it hasn't gotten significantly worse, and actually she's okay. So, and the reason how I know that she still has some movement back there is because even though she can't feel and she can't move on purpose, she does have reflexes, and if you pinch just gently between the pads, you'll see that there's going to be a reflex. You see that? And then on the other one, same thing. There's that little reflex right there. Obviously, it's not as strong as before, but it's still there. So she does have some reflexive capability. A lot of you have asked about these little lights that I have, the little aftermarket flashlights. All I really did was I took some hair ties, and this one is pink on this side, it's black on the other, But I just put a little flashlight right there. It takes AAA's, and they just kind of stay right there. And I put them there so, not so much so that Dotty could see, but more so that she could be seen at night or when people are walking around and there's a lot of people, so they don't trip on her, because it's really easy for a dog to be unnoticed, even if she's in a wheelchair, because unlike other dogs that can kind of yelp and move out of the way, if she gets taken out, she gets taken out, and that would not be a pretty scene. So yeah, I got a couple of lights there. There's this one, and there's another one on the other side right there.
Thanks for checking out our video. If you have any questions, go ahead and DM us directly, and we'll answer the questions as best we can.